So as most of you guys know, and if you don't, you're about to find out, the Arizona real estate market has shifted and we're in a full-blown buyer's market. What does that mean? It means that if you're a buyer, you can negotiate better terms. You don't have to, most of the time, overpay the listing price. And you can ask for a lot of things, which is what we're seeing. Transaction levels are going back to the 1995. And if you think about it, we have around 25% more population. So that makes it even more impactful. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about watching out for broke realtors. Now, what does that mean? Now, in the last couple of years, we had a boom and a lot of people jumped into this industry because they saw a lot of sexy shows like, Selling Sunset, a lot of those fixer-upper shows and things like that. So a lot of people felt like they could make a lot of money in this industry. And there was a point in time where a lot of people make tons of money. Sellers, buyers, and then sold their house and made a lot of money and bought a better house. Realtors made a lot of money. Lenders made a lot of money. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess it depends how you see it, the barrier to entry is very low to become a realtor. You just have to take a multiple choice test, make sure that your background looks good, get licensed. Now, I'm not saying it's simple to stay in the industry, but when there's booms, it's easy to make money. Now, what happens? A lot of realtors spend money. Maybe they went from being a cashier to all of a sudden being a realtor making 100,000. So, they buy a nice car, they buy a nice house, they take trips, they go above their means. And when we have these dips in this industry where we don't have a lot of transactions, we tend to see a lot of people end up broke. Now, let's say you're thinking about selling your house. Now, if somebody depends on paying their mortgage, their car payment, make their next trip if they still want to go traveling, it depends on selling your house, that's where they're going to get their commission. Does that mean they're going to look out for your best interest? Same as if you're a buyer. If you're looking to buy a house and you get a realtor that transaction depends on paying their mortgage, paying their car payment, not losing their car, paying their rent, are they going to look out for your best interest? Because if you're in the middle of transaction and things get a little rough in the negotiations, can they wait another month if that transaction falls apart and you have to start all over again? Or if it takes you months to find that house that gives you the price you want, are they going to be able to do that? So that's what I want to talk about in this video. So I'm going to talk about a couple things that you have to look out for and a couple things that you can do to make sure that you hire the best person to help you out on the sale of your house or the purchase of your future home. Now, for the last year, I've been hearing that 75% of realtors haven't closed one deal. Now, when I have a chart up here, if you look at this chart, you can see that around 76% of realtors have closed either no deals or at least, $2 million of transactions. So let's just say that 76% of those realtors haven't closed enough to pay their fees, their dues, their costs to show houses, their gas, their bills. That's quite a bit. That's 3 out of 4 realtors haven't really done much, haven't closed enough deals to really make decent money. Now, on the third bar right there, that's a pretty decent percentage, is 11.4. They've closed anywhere between $2 to $4 million worth of real estate. So you're talking about anywhere between, depending on the commission they negotiated, anywhere between 50,000 to potentially 100,000. That doesn't take into effect whatever splits they have with their broker. It doesn't take into consideration whatever fees they're paying, whatever referrals they're paying. I mean, it doesn't really count. So that leaves you with 11.2%. They're actually making good money in this industry. So I would say maybe if you think about it, 2 out of 10 realtors are doing good. The rest might be broke. Now, if you're looking to sell your house, what are you trying to do? You're trying to maximize how much you can net out of the sale of your home, or you have maybe a price in mind because you have to go to a different state, a different city, a different house, and you have a specific amount you need to net. Now, one of the things that I've seen that is happening in the market is that there's a lot of buyers on the sidelines, and buyer realtors are convincing them to jump into the market. I'm not saying this is bad, because those agents are, convincing people to jump into the market, which is helping things happen. However, a lot of them are telling them, hey, I can get you a good deal. I can negotiate to make sure that all the repairs are done, that we get you a big discount, and then we get you the payment you want. So as a seller, you're probably going to receive a lot of lowball offers. So I had that happen to me recently with one of my clients. So we were listing their home. They had tenants, so it wasn't showing very well. So we got an offer from a cash buyer. Now, this wasn't an investor. This was somebody that was planning to live in the house. They were cash offers, so they wanted a good deal. So they came in around $45,000 below asking price, which was, quite a bit. So I presented the offer to my client. We discussed what would be the right steps to take from here. So they said we would be willing to go forward if they would be willing to meet us at this price. So that took a couple more days of negotiations. we ended up settling at 415, which was $20,000 higher than the original asking price. Now, after that, we went through the inspection period, and then they came back with a huge list of repairs and a huge credit that they were requesting. They wanted a brand new roof. There was a couple things wrong with the roof, but I wouldn't say it required a brand new roof. But they wanted $18,000 for the roof. They had an estimate, and they wanted around another. They wanted another $2,000 worth of repairs. So it was gonna be a total of $20,000. So they were trying to take us back down to the original price. So I told my client, hey, look, what do you think? First I want to find out, what do they think? What do they want to do? And then obviously I'll give them my input and my guidance. So we decided to counter and only give them 10,000. And I told them, hey, look, I just want to warn you, just because of the way the market is right now and because they are a cash buyer, they might go to the neighbor's house. I will push as hard as you want me to. I just have to let you know as your agent that this can happen. Are you okay with that? And they say, yeah. I mean, once the tenant gets out, we'll clean the house, we'll put it back into the market. And as long as they were okay with it, then I would follow their direction. So I negotiated, kept it, tried, we there was a lot of conflict there. There was a lot of back and forth. I knew that there was a good chance this transaction might fall apart. But at the end of the day, I was okay with that because I knew that we would just have to wait another month to get under contract. It was a great house, great area. And, once it got cleaned up and got the tenants out of there, then I knew that we were going to get a good offer. But I didn't put my interest first, and the fact that maybe I needed that sale to pay my bills. Obviously, I don't. I'm okay financially. I was able to do well in the last couple of years, but there might be realtors that might push their clients to give 20,000. Right now, let me give you another story. This happened a couple months ago. We had a client that were going to sell their house and buy another fixer upper because that's what they like to do, and they've been doing very well. So we got them a good offer, and then we found another house that was already priced below market. The house in good shape, it would have sold for 450 easily. They were at 375. It needed some repairs. I mean, it was outdated. So we came in very aggressive, 350 plus around 4% in credits for my client to buy down the rate and to pay whatever repairs. When we did the inspection, we asked for another like $5,000 in repairs, which was quite a bit, on top of everything we got. We never got pushback, and my clients probably would have bought the house regardless, even if they would have only gotten half of what they got. But because we never got pushback, that seller ended up paying that extra, I don't know, 20,000. So it came out of their pocket, that 20,000, not the realtor. Yeah, maybe a couple hundred because the commission's lower, but at the end of the day, it comes out of the seller's pocket. So if you're thinking about selling, you need to make sure you're going to hire somebody who's going to look out for your best interest and not their best interest. And when that sale depends on you paying your mortgage, I think a lot of people might make other decisions, unfortunately. So now as a buyer, it's very similar. If, let's say, for example, let me give you another story that might help you figure out how this can affect you. I had a client that said, hey, I don't want to pay more than $2,500 a month on this house, but I want a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. And I wanted it in a specific area. When that area was kind of complicated to get a house that was 4 bedrooms and 2 baths within that payment. So I said, hey, this is what we need to do. If you want to get a house that's already built, that's move-in ready, then we need to look for the house that we can negotiate and bring down that price and get enough credits to buy down your rate to get you that payment. So we had to get at least 10% off most of the homes that we were looking at. So obviously we kept going back and forth in different homes. We kept negotiating. A lot of them would push back. They wanted to meet us halfway, and it just wasn't going to give my client the payment they wanted. It was going to be more in the 2,700s. So we stumbled upon this new build. We went to the new build, and they got a payment of a little bit over 25. I think it was like $2,520, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But that was a payment that they wanted. And we went through the pros and cons of buying a new build, buying a house that's already been built, and it just made sense to get the new build. It was going to take another 3 months for us to close on that new build, but they were okay with it. It actually worked great for them because they had their lease, and it was okay. I was okay with it. But what if somebody needs to pay their bills that month, and that sale happening that month depends on them paying their bills or staying in the industry? They might push you towards the deal that might not make a lot of sense, and I've seen that happen. So again, it's just a matter of making sure that you hire the right person, seeing how they negotiate, or what kind of advice they give you. So a couple things to look for. Most realtors have social media. So if you don't know your realtor's social media, stalk them, look for them, look them up, and see how they're spending their money. We put everything on social media. We put our trips, our cars, how often we go to, I see realtors putting how often they go to the spa, how often what they're spending their money on, toys that they're buying. So look up social media and see their spending patterns. Another good indicator, maybe they're a top performer. So it doesn't mean because they spend a lot of money, it doesn't mean that they're broke. But if they're barely closing enough deals to pay for a lot of those things, they might raise a couple red flags. Now, you can also go to Zillow or even ask them, hey, give me a list of all the transactions you've closed in the last year. It's okay to ask for that. Why? Because you want to make sure that they do have the finger on the pulse of the market and understand where things are going. If you're closing 3 deals a year in the first Q1, you close 3 deals and you haven't closed anything in like 6 months, then that might be a concern because the market has shifted a lot since the beginning of the year to now. So they might be thinking the market's still the same way it was back then, but they don't understand how it is now. If you're looking for somebody that is going to sell your house, look up how many listings they've sold, not just how many deals, because they might be primarily a buyer's agent and might not know how to get your house out there and how to market it. So, or how to come up with the right price. So I would say any realtor that is closing 10 deals or more and that at least is closing 1 deal a month, they have a good finger on the pulse and they've done pretty well to pay their bills and hopefully save some money. All right, guys. So what I'm trying to say is that this is probably not the market to hire your uncle that was in construction last year that really doesn't understand the market. So if you're looking to sell your house, you just got to be careful. If you're looking to buy a house, you also got to be careful because you might be put into a bad situation. So if you want to get more honest information about what's going on in the real estate market, follow me. I'm going to start doing market reviews and also start doing tours so you can see what prices you're looking at in different cities if you're looking to move into Arizona. All right, this is Juan Ramirez, and I'm out.